you see, looking up from the ground, blood-red clouds boiling across the sky.
You did ask me to bring the thunder.
Dajin! Help! I've got the chalice, please!
Well, if they're following you, then I guess that takes care of a loose end for me.
All of you feel the earth beneath you shake and crack and break.
I feel that I have failed both of you, and I am sorry for that.
This has nothing to do with you being a bad leader.
Do you want a countdown? Oh, I think I want a countdown.
I wanted
3,
to help. I always had good
2,
intention. I
1.
did not deserve to die.
Now.
The Lucky Die podcast is a weekly 5e Dungeons & Dragons actual play podcast. Join our adventure every Monday wherever you download podcasts by searching for The Lucky Die.
Welcome to Moon Harbor Heroes. Today's issue is Hellspawn, issue 6, Revelations. On the cover, Faye, Supai, and Shadowfell creep through a forest of iron trees. The three are rough and bruised, but energetic. Hidden among the branches and in the sharp grass, we see mutated snakes watching our heroes. We turn the page and our story begins.
And we're walking through these woods. The woods are made of these wrought steel trees. I think they're leafless, but I think the branches tend to be pretty wide and pretty big. So we still don't get to see much of the sky. What color is the sky in Hell?
Oof. Well, we've decided there isn't a sun.
There's no sun.
So I think it's this permanent twilight, but with lots of grays and the slightest hint of purples.
That's what I was thinking too.
I like pinks and purples as our distinction of Hell is what we've kind of been leaning towards, and I like that.
Yeah. I think Faye is ahead of you in Shadowfell. Faye is kind of sweeping the area and telekinetically searching ahead to see if things are moving and that kind of thing. I think she's very much party of her own, and then the two of you are hanging back. Shadowfell turns to you and is like, well, she's a treasure, isn't she?
Last couple months have been really hard. Just cut her some slack.
She always yell at you like that?
She can be kind of mean, but she's normally not this bad. We have a history.
Yeah.
I may have tried to kill her and her friends. It was a really complicated time.
I know, it just doesn't really necessarily give her the right to treat you like crap, but sure, if you want to let her do that to you, that's fine.
So, you've been here since the beach ritual? You've been here longer than us?
Has it been that long? I don't really know.
As far as we've been able to keep track, we've been here about 2 months, but we didn't come here until after all that happened. What have you been eating? We found these rats, but they're getting more and more scarce.
There are a lot of snakes on the other side.
I never thought I'd say this, but after having nothing but rat for 2 months, I would kill for a snake.
Well, we'll probably see some pretty soon. I would not be shocked if we run into some climbing up the mountain. There were definitely some as we were coming down, so it's a little bit chewy. But it doesn't taste bad. Actually, it tastes a little bit like steak.
I think at a certain point, Spy pulls their phone out of their pocket, and I think it's off, but they just kind of hold it tightly, and then slip it back in there. It's I just want to get back. I miss all the normal stuff, like Netflix, or hell, even just reading tweets from that Lighthammer dold. I don't know. It's just there's nothing here. My voice gets real low, whispery. Faye's great and all, but God, after 2 months, I just want to talk to someone else. This might sound terrible, but I'm kind of glad you're in Hell.
I think Shadowfell laughs and she's like, yeah, I mean, maybe time works differently on the other side of the mountain, but it's only felt like 2 weeks for me, but 2 weeks alone without someone else has been torture.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
I'm glad you're here. And she puts an arm around your shoulder.
I'm gonna say, I don't know, things with Faye are weird. Our powers are kind of tied together right now. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells around her.
And then Faye's like, guys, we have company. Look alive. And as you look up above Faye, there is what looks like probably a 7-foot tall person or so. 7 foot to about their shoulders. And then where they should have a head, there's just like 9 or 10 snakes coming out of where a neck should be. You got I think we get a panel of the three of you. You two catching up to Faye. And Faye with like flail at the ready. You with like tendril of flame out. And Shadowfell with the like iron spike like pointed forward. So it's almost Charlie's Angels-esque. So like Faye is on one side with a flail out to the left. You have the left arm, it works. So Faye's on one side with a flail out to the right. You're on the other side with a tendril out to the left. And Shadowfell's in the middle with the spike in the center.
And I'd like to point out that I'm also holding the hammer. So I've
Cool.
got like the hammer in the hand and then the tendril like wrapping around and continuing downward.
Cool. I love that. So yeah, we get this like vaguely Charlie's Angels-esque pose, and then we enter a battle against a dangerous foe. Who's our leader?
I think it would be Faye.
I think it's Faye.
Though I think Supai wants to step up to that position. So.
I still think it's Faye. Faye does not have influence over everybody. What is our goal?
What is Faye's goal?
Defeat the snake thing. Snake-headed monster thing.
What's Shadowfell's goal?
Defeat the snake monster thing.
Supai's goal is to look really, really cool in front of their new friend.
Cool. So that's still 2. Does anyone mistrust any member? Yes. Faye mistrusts Shadowfell.
Ill-prepared or off-balance?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So we're at 1 team. The creature, which has all the snake heads, and with all the snake heads standing all the way up, if they were like standing up, would probably be about 12 feet tall. But instead it's about 5 feet of like writhing snakes coming out of their neck.
Supai looks at Shadowfell and goes, is this Medusa?
She looks and she's like, no, it's one of Medusa's like underlings.
Oh. So Medusaling.
She kind of laughs and she's like, yeah, sure. And then we see it reach down and out of the ground grows a tree, and then it grabs it and pulls it up, and it's just this like wrought iron hammer. And it tosses it in the air, so it like tosses the hammer up, flips it, grabs it out of the air, and then swings it at Faye.
Supai is going to jump in front and try to wrap the tendril or flame tendril around the arm to stop the blow from coming in.
Cool, go ahead and defend.
And while doing that, yells, I call that hammer!
So it's a 9.
Because I still have influence over Faye, right? Yes.
Cool. So on a 7 or 9, it costs you expose yourself to danger or escalate the situation.
I'm going to clear a condition with the defend choice there. But you can choose to expose myself to danger or escalate. I don't care which one that goes with.
Cool. I think it exposes you to danger. I think that your tendrils wrap around the hammer as you yell, like, I claim it, and that it lets go of the hammer. And the hammer just goes soaring, and you, being wrapped around it, go soaring with it.
Cool.
And you just, like, get pulled. I think it's almost cartoony, like, the hammer flies off panel, and we get the momentary look of, like, horror on your face as you realize, like, I'm still tied to that.
And then it
then
yanks
you get yanked off the panel.
Yes, I love it.
And then I think Faye and Shadowfell look at each other, and they're like, I think it's like a look of like, okay, which one of us is going to handle this? Which one of us is going to make sure that they're okay? And there's like a silent, like, who's in charge here? Who's in charge? And then Faye wins out. So Shadowfell, like, disappears and poofs after you. And then Faye...
I think Faye turns back to look at the Medusaling. And as Faye looks back at it, all of the snake heads are flying towards her, mouth open to bite.
I think Faye has adopted a lot of new things from Supai's powers. And her body transmutation, she's now adopted their fire powers into that. And I think she just turns her body into flame. She transmutes into just a body of fire.
Awesome. Go ahead and unleash your powers.
It's an 8. I have a 0 for freak because you shifted it earlier, so that's an 8.
Okay. Marking a condition, or do you want me to tell you how it's unstable or
It's
temporary?
unstable or temporary.
Cool. It is a lot. Like the Medusaling actually rears back, like several steps back just from the heat of it, and we get a panel of just this roaring flame, and all of the steel trees in the area is starting to kind of droop. They're not like liquid melting, but they're definitely losing form, just starting to droop over. And yeah.
Faye looks up, and the only thing that isn't melted right now is the flail. And I think Faye looks down, and the points of the flail all catch on fire. And Faye's like, all right, I am not in the mood for this right now. And then I think she just swings it right in the middle of all the heads.
I love it. Go ahead and roll to directly engage. Are you still Fire Beast?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a 2.
Okay. So Faye launches forward, swings the flail. At that moment, 2 incredibly large steel trees that at this point are getting to the point of white hot just bend over and slam in front of Faye, and Faye just slams into them, and we then get a panel of like Faye tangled in this white hot, like twisted metal branches, and just very, very tangled up. The way I have done it with Supai is not fireproof unless Supai is on fire. Mm-hmm. So I think the same would apply to Faye.
So Faye is currently on fire. So when she stops being on fire, she's going to be in pain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think we jump over. And I think that hammer went flying. I think the hammer went flying like 100 yards. So
Can I make a suggestion? Mm-hmm. Can we cut to the hammer embedded in a tree? Not heat-wise, but like it hit a trunk, like a solid tree trunk so much, like the metal bent around it. Can we cut to like Supai, like both feet against the tree, both hands on the end of the, or I guess one hand on the end of the hammer, pulling, like holding themselves against the tree, trying to pull this out?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And Shadowfell poops and lands and is like, do you want to go and help
Help me get this out.
Okay.
Hold on. And Supai drops and then just starts, because during the moment of truth, I think it was like the most tendrils they produced at once was somewhere around like 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at this point, like, I want it to be very casual that it's stepped up a notch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like 12 to 15 tentacles come out and just start pushing and trying to rip the tree trunk open, heating and bending the metal back around the hammer.
I think Shadowfell is like, can I have just like 1 sec?
They turn and look, okay, hurry.
Shadowfell walks over, grabs the handle of the thing, and then rematerializes in front of Supai with the thing in her hand. And she's like, here you go.
Supai grabs it and says, holy shit, that was cool, and starts running back.
And Shadowfell, like, rolls her eyes and then poofs over and, like, lands next to you and is like, do you want to ride?
You can bring other people with you?
Shadowfell grabs you and poofs you, and you land next to Faye as Faye is getting tangled in this, like, white-hot metal wrapping around her.
Yeah, and I think in the background of that, we see the Medusaling advancing. Seeing this, Supai kind of runs up and over Faye and these tangled things and launches themselves at the Medusaling.
Cool, go ahead and
Just
roll.
assuming that Shadowfell is going to help Faye out here.
Yeah, go ahead and roll to directly engage.
6.
Shadowfell's like, don't, okay, and runs over, like, grabs onto Faye's wrist, which is on fire, and is just like, ow, grabs, poofs Faye and herself out, and drops Faye on top of the Medusaling. So, like, Faye comes hurtling down towards Medusaling, who looks up right as you bring the hammer down. So we'll move that up to a 7.
Okay.
And there goes our team.
Yup. I'm going to impress, surprise, or frighten them. And I hit them, like, square in the chest with that hammer.
I think we get the moment of it looking up, and it's like, oh no. And then one head notices you. All the heads turn and look, and then the hammer catches it square in the chest. And it just stumbles backwards. The heads are rearing out to all sides. And Faye lands next to you. Claws, like, materialize into claws, but the rest of the body no longer aflame, just there. And Faye looks up and says, attack position beta, ready? Let's go.
Where's Shadowfell at this point?
I think Shadowfell, when she dropped Faye, like, caught onto a tree. And, like, is, like, hanging in a tree above us.
Okay. Excellent. Attack position beta. I'm ready.
I did not resist their blows there, by the way.
Cool. We'll get there.
Okay.
What does attack position beta look like?
Supai has no goddamn clue what Faye's talking about. Faye probably explained it. Supai probably didn't pay attention.
So Faye wings open and like launches into the air and like comes down feet full claws to like claw at its multiple faces and is like very clearly hoping you're gonna go for the legs and like knock it akimbo, but I don't think you know that. So I think Faye brings her like talon claws down to like slash at the heads and try to like chop a couple of heads off. And what do?
I think I'm also swinging for the head.
So you launch towards the head and Faye like recoils at the last moment, being like, oh, I can't hit Supai. And the teeth just bite. I think you get like 4 or 5 like solid bites, like 2 on your shoulder, 1 on the broken arm, and then 1 on your rib.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll and take a powerful blow for me.
4.
Tell me how you resist or avoid that.
I just take them. Like, there's a grimace of pain, and I just keep on swinging. Just hitting as many heads as I can.
Cool. And Faye's like, the feet, Supai, the feet.
I thought you were going for the feet.
Faye rolls her eyes and then dive bombs for the legs. She wraps the flail around the knees and then yanks and pulls it to the ground.
Is this a fastball special?
That's what I was trying to go for.
I think Supai's forcing themselves into the leader role here.
Cool.
You cool with you?
Yeah.
So I roll overwhelm a vulnerable foe, you mark a condition.
Oh, good. I think angry is the most logical choice.
Oh yeah. No, that's perfect. Well, get ready to be more angry. Because that was a 5.
We don't have any more team.
No, we don't.
Cool. But you're the leader, so you take the backlash on that, right? Because you rolled it. I think Faye yanks the legs out, and the snake heads all launch and grab onto the trees, and just yank the trees in. And I think a sharp metal branch just pierces you right through the shoulder. I think it like...
The broken shoulder?
The broken... I think it actually pierces you right through the broken arm. Go ahead and roll. Take a powerful blow for me.
Go. 6.
Alright, so what does it look like?
We get a couple panels where Spy is immediately trying to launch back into the battle. Like, doesn't even notice this piercing, just the pure adrenaline running. And gets kind of lurches back as they hit the... being held back by the branch. I think they grab the branch with the good hand. We get this burst of flame and it just melts through. And they just shove it through the rest of the shoulder and then run back towards the fight. We're left with like a cauterized wound on the front.
Mm-hmm. I think the next thing that happens is Shadowfell snuck up on the distracted Medusaling and grabs it by the shoulders and then poofs up into the air and drops it and then poofs away. And I think we see it fall and it just gets impaled by branch after branch as it's falling and it hits the ground and bursts into purple flame.
Love it. Love it.
And then Shadowfell lands in a perfect 3-point stance on the ground, kind of between you and Faye.
Told you she was cool, Faye.
And as Shadowfell stands up, we see that she also got impaled and has a branch sticking through her ribs and not coming out. It's like stuck in between some ribs. And she like stands up, smiling, and then kind of gasps and falls forward.
Oh, yeah. I rush over to her and checking over the wound. Like, I'm pretty sure I actually know a bit about battlefield anatomy, if you will. I feel like that is something Darkmark would have absolutely pounded into my brain.
Mm-hmm.
How life-threatening is it? Like, is this piercing? Does this seem like it? Is it a location where it's likely to have pierced a major organ, or?
It doesn't look like it probably pierced any major organs. It might have pierced a lung. That's it, which could be very bad. But when you check on that, she doesn't have any issue breathing. She's still breathing okay. So it's life-threatening, but in a longer term. It's not going to kill her immediately.
Supai wraps one hand around the branch. She goes, "This is going to hurt," and just yanks it out.
I think we get the moment of her, like, putting her hand on the wound and the blood just coming through it and just, like, pouring through it.
And I think Supai moves her hand and then presses their hand to it. And then we get that burst of flame and probably a scream from Shadowfell at that point and cauterizes the wound.
And I think we cut away from the scene.
Cool. Ooh, can we get like a above the forest shot? And that's where we get the scream. Like, we can't even see them. We see like a couple of the angler whales flying by.
Yeah, I think so.
I like that.
And then we cut away from the scene. Clear conditions. You just hurt someone, so if you have anger, you can clear it.
That's all I have, actually. In that fight, I went from 4 conditions to 0.
We cut now to the 3 of us near the top of the mountain. I think we all look a little bit worse for wear. It looks like it's been a few days. And I think the first thing we cut into is Shadowfell being like, wow, you were right. There's really not a lot of food on the side of the mountain. Is there any of that roasted rat left?
We get a panel of Supai holding out their hand. There's like the equivalent of rat drumsticks, like 2 of them. Like, this is all.
Shadowfell's like, can I? I think Faye is ahead stoic and is like, yeah, whatever. So Shadowfell takes one, starts eating it, and is like, I don't think Faye likes me very much.
I'm starting to wonder if Faye likes anyone.
Shadowfell's like, I don't know why, if you're on a team with someone, that you're so angry and you don't work with them.
When we first got here, I think she saw something, but she won't talk to me about it yet.
And Shadowfell's like, you know what, whatever. We've got each other's backs, right?
Yeah.
And she, like, takes your hand and, like, clasps it, and she's like, all right, we're almost there. We should really start being on the lookout. This is the home of that demon. I was doing some more reading while we were walking. She brought the books with her, and she's like, its name, and I may be mispronouncing this, is Veronix. I think that it's somewhere around here. Do you feel the air getting, like, thicker?
Now that you mention it, yeah.
Okay, just, like, be careful, okay?
I nod.
I think we get the panel of the 2 of them walking, and I think we jump ahead and we see Faye. And I think Faye heard all of this and is, like, clenching her jaw. I don't think Faye is, like, actually, like, not hearing it. I think there's almost, like, we get, like, Faye kind of welling up with tears, but, like, Faye is not gonna show that. And, like, we see her, like, digging her nails into her palm to, like, keep from, like, saying something. And then Faye comes into a clearing. And in the clearing, there are these just, like, hundreds of black, like, onyx-looking things. And in the middle, on a pedestal, there's a black crystal just floating. And Faye's like, hey, y'all, come here. And she, like, says it pretty quietly, like, pretty small text on the page. We get the 3 of them standing, looking at the open field.
Like standing, like, on the edge behind the trees kind of deal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Faye says, does this feel like a trap for anyone else?
And Spy's like, we're in hell. Everything's been a trap.
And then we get Shadowfell's voice, and it's much colder than it has been. And it goes, I mean, you're right. And we get a panel of the 2 of you looking at Shadowfell as Shadowfell just morphs out of the humanoid shape into this, like, amorphous shadow creature with these glowing yellow eyes.
Spy glances at Faye, just goes, bet you're happy about this.
And then we enter battle against dangerous foe.
I like it.
Who's team leader right now?
I feel like Faye naturally has just been assuming that role.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Influence over... I do have influence over Supai.
Yep.
Mistrusts anyone, any member? No, now that it's just 2 of us, I don't. What did I miss?
Purpose in the fight.
Purpose in the fight. Defeat the shadow monster.
Okay, I'm on board this time. I don't need to show off for the shadow monster.
Yeah. And then off... I think we are ill-prepared or off-balance.
Oh, yeah.
So that's 3 team. We see the shape of the shadow creature, like, take off into the trees and then, like, crash land in the middle of this field. As it crashes, it reforms into the shape of Dark Rider.
Thanks. I hate it.
And it's like, Supai, you're not strong enough to defeat me. You never were. Come on, join me. Let's rule this place together. You can finally have the family you've always wanted. So, when Veronix tempts you, roll plus superior.
10.
Cool. On a 10 plus, it doesn't work. So you hear the words and you get to push them out of your brain.
Supai looks up at the thing and says, "You've shown your true face, but you made the mistake of teaching us some stuff first. I'm going to use infinite powers, and I'm going to shadow step, and I want to, like, just appear in the air behind it and wrap my flame tentacle around its neck."
Wrapping a flame tentacle around its neck is me a directly engage. So go ahead and roll to directly engage for me.
Okay. 5.
So you wrap the flame tentacle around its neck as Dark Mark, or as Dark Rider, and its head just fully rotates around, like 180 degrees, rotates to face you. And it's just the look of, like, pure disappointment. It's like, Supai, you know this isn't going to do anything to me. And it grabs the rope and just flings you to the side. And you get whipped by the flame tentacle. And I think you crash into, like, the dais there. Go ahead and roll to take a powerful blow for me.
5.
Cool. Tell me how you don't get hurt by that.
I would just like to say, I am standing up to these powerful blows like a beast. I hit the ground and roll, and I hit the dais, and, like, it definitely hurts. Like, we get a groan, and I think I just scamper behind the dais out of sight.
And then I think the creature turns and looks at Faye. And then it turns into AM.
AM turns and looks at Faye and says, "You can bring me back. If you take their life, you can give it to me. I could come back with you."
It's a 5.
So what happens on this?
On a miss, choose 2. Succumb to their words and give them control over you. Hear their words and take a powerful blow. Distract them by putting a teammate in harm's way. Fight against their words and cause mass collateral damage. I think I'm going to hear their words and take a powerful blow. And I'm going to fight against their words and cause mass collateral damage. I think the first thing that happens is I hear their words and I look over. And I think I look over at Supai. Or where Supai was, but Supai is now not there. And I'm like, I think if Supai had been there, there may have been the chance that she was going to sacrifice Supai. But you're not there. And so she looks back and she's like, "No, you're not my friend. Not today." And she just throws her hands out and just the glass, like, shattering of reality. And I think the entire field, including the dais and everything around, except for that black crystal, just shatters.
I like it.
Including the dais hiding Supai. But I do take a powerful blow.
All right.
That's a 13. I think everything is... I'm going to lose control by powers in a terrible way. I think the whole thing, everything around me shatters. And the glass shards just start flying around me. And I think Supai gets picked up by the glass shards as they're flying in the air. And there's just this, like, swirling tornado of broken reality. And we see all of Faye's memories with Amber flying around her. And, like, panels from comics we never saw. And, like, pictures of, like, their, like, 4-year-old birthday parties. And, like, these just, like, vicious, like, painful memories. And everything's turning pink. And all the shards, one by one, turn pink. And we watch as memory after memory of Amber just shatters.
I'd like to add a bit to that. We see a couple of these memories shattering, and then I think we see the memory of AM's death in a shard. And you can decide what this looks like, but I want to see a panel of the demon, not in reality, but the demon inside.
Mm-hmm.
However, kind of like Carl's mind space, whatever that looks like for that. So I want the demon to, like, as that one's about to shatter, I want the demon to look out at the memory and go, "Oh, no, not that one. That one stays."
The demon physically mentally manifests in the world over top of Veronix and, like, is, like, floating in the air and catches it in between her claws. And she's like, "No, not that one." And we watch memory after memory, like, good memory after good memory shatter. And then that one just dissipates. And then with it, the demon dissipates as well.
I like that.
I do think as Supai is being flung around, I think that Supai takes a powerful blow.
Fair. 7.
Cool. On a 7 or 9, choose 1.
So yeah, we get Supai flying around, I think covered in just tons of just small slices. and yells out, "Faye, get control of yourself. You're gonna get us killed." And I'm gonna spend that influence to inflict a condition.
Cool.
You can choose what condition that hits Faye as.
I think insecure. I think the fact that this kid is telling me what to do, I think I'm just like, fuck. Okay. But I think I'm also going to use that as a provoke. I think Faye's going to be like, with pleasure. And then the flail is going to come out and just catch Amber right across the face.
Cool. Go ahead and roll to directly engage. And in the background of this panel, we get Supai hitting the ground and scrambling towards that crystal in the middle.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna catch it across the cheek with the thing as I directly engage. That's a 5.
Yes.
I'm gonna spend team selfishly.
Okay.
I think the options were either like catch Supai as Supai comes crashing to the ground, and I think that's what she thought I was gonna do. Veronix thought I was gonna do is like catch my friend, and I was like, no, I'm going after you this time. So I'm going to spend that. I'm going to shift my danger up and my savior down.
And then what does that bring you to?
It's a 6, so you still need to help me with 1.
We get a panel with you just swinging just with full-on abandon, and it just steps out of the way, and you kind of go past and spin to face it, and Supai's hammer flies out of nowhere, hits it in the back of the head, and then you swing and hit it.
Cool.
So choose one.
I'm going to resist or avoid blows.
Okay.
The flail hits and connects, and the thing's face kind of spins, and it turns back, and just like a chunk of Amber's face just missing and just bleeding. And Amber is sobbing. And is like, Alana, stop, please. Alana, please, stop. Faye seeing red, and Faye just swings again.
Roll to directly engage.
That was a 3.
I think you hit it. And you take, like, another chunk off the face, and we get the continued, the sobbing. Like, it drops down to its knees, and just Faye stops seeing the demon at all. Like, in this moment, you're just seeing an AM that you just beat the hell out of, crying in front of you.
I think I fully drop to my knees and, like, grab her by, like, the chin, which is bleeding all over my hands. Amber, I'm so sorry. Amber, please look at me. Amber, stop.
And I think we cut the Supai. Supai grabs the... Is it still just floating in the air? Yeah, Supai grabs the crystal. Supai turns to look at Faye and... I can't remember the demon's name.
Veronix.
And they're seeing the demon, like, preparing to, like, bite down on Faye's head as Faye's,
Can I make a recommendation of what
Sure.
that looks like? I think we see AM, like, the body of AM, and growing out of AM's back are all these, like, hundreds of snakes just, like, ready to launch.
Yes, I love it. Supai, turns, sees this, and their eyes just flash pink. And I'm going to use infinite powers.
Cool.
So, I am going to temporarily gain, I believe it's rodent or vermin control from the Janus playbook.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to yell out, stop. And I'm going to try to control these snakes.
Cool, go ahead and roll to unleash your powers. Or do you just do it?
No, it's still, you just gain the power.
Cool.
For that. 5.
I think that's enough to break Faye out of it. And Faye looks up and sees you yelling stop, and then turns back as all the snakes just bite down. And I'm going to take a powerful blow for that. It's a 12. I think Faye passes out. I think Faye makes eye contact with Amber, and Amber's face is missing chunks, and then Amber smiles, and we just see, like, chunks of, like, teeth grinning as the face curls up. And then we see Faye just fall backwards.
Can the next panel be Supai bringing the hammer down on the head of this thing?
Go ahead and roll directly engage.
I'm going to use shouldering the burden.
Cool.
So I'm still going to bring the hammer down, but we also have just tons of tendrils. I'm trying to wrap this thing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to mark a condition.
Cool.
I'm angry. I'm absolutely angry at just everyone and everything right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to wield my powers. 6. I was going to use team selfishly.
Cool, use team selfishly.
So to push it to a 7, I'll explain how I use team selfishly in a moment, if that's okay, because it's going to be part of the result of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to move my freak up and my savior down.
Cool.
I'm going to neutralize an opponent or threat, at least for now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get these just tendril after tendril wrapping up and around and just rips the thing off and just slams it into a tree. The tendrils wrapping around it in the tree and just melting the tree, encasing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I then turn back to Faye, and Faye, on top of being snake bit, beat the hell up, is now just severely burnt across the face and arms. That work?
Yep.
Cool. And I throw Faye over her shoulder and just run back down the mountain.
I think Faye wakes up as you pull her onto your shoulder, and then she grabs you by the shoulder very, very tightly and portals.
Okay.
And I think we come crash landing back down at the base of the mountain. And I think it's not a normal clean portal like normal. I think we just we go tumbling and we both go rolling. And we're laying on the ground on our back, just panting, both of us bloodied and beaten the fuck up.
That works for me.
And I think we get a moment where she rolls over and she puts her arm around you and she's like, never, ever put yourself in danger like that again. So I was going to make the comfort of support there. I think Supai was bracing himself for a full lecture, but I think it ended up being nice.
If you want to roll it, feel free.
That's 6.
Supai straight up pushes Faye off of them, stands up, steps away, and goes, I was in danger from you. Get yourself under control. Let's get back to the tower. And just starts walking.
Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets and TP Huth and edited by Anthony Sheets. Anthony can be found on Twitter at Icy New Year or at icynewyear.com. T is the host of Incubator on Air, a new play podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. They can be found at T Huth Playwright on Twitter or TPHuth94 on Instagram. This issue was GM'd by me, Anthony Sheets, and Faye was played by T Huth. The music for this issue was Halls of the Undead by Kevin MacLeod. A link to the license and his website will be in the show notes. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or on Patreon at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please consider leaving us a review on iTunes and recommending it to friends. Word of mouth is really the best way for us to bring these stories to more people. If you'd like to support us financially, check us out on patreon.com/moonharborheroes. Supporting us there will give you access to bonus episodes each month. And thanks for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.